Welcome to the Ice Talks, where we implement change every day. Hey everybody, this is Harold S. Reed Jr., also known as hrjr, your motivational coach. If you don't know what motive action means, motive plus action equals results, and results equals success. I know it's been a while, and I know I promised you that I wouldn't take so long between podcast episodes, but we are all going through some things. I know you know, and I know you understand. So I'm gonna give you this one apology, because I have a previous episode that I believe talks about apologies. I say you only give one apology, and that the first apology you give is the one that counts. And if people can't accept your first apology, they will not be worth anything else beyond the first apology. So I apologize for taking so long to give you a new episode. And I promise, my brothers at Groove Fight Groove Social Fellowship Incorporated will know what this means. Those who know me closely know what this means. When I say on my G's, I promise you I will not let this much time pass before I give you another episode. So what I want to talk to you about during this episode is going back to the basics. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a point in your life when, hey, you know what? Everything was going great. The job was going great. Your relationship was going great. Your friendships were going great. Your money was coming in right. And then after a while, things started to simmer down. And you didn't even realize it. And you found yourself in another state of complacency. But you began to realize, hey, things aren't quite the way they used to be. Funny thing is, I found myself in that same predicament, and it was really getting to me, and it was really, and I have to tell you the honest to God truth, that's part and parcel as to why it's been taking so long for me to come out with these episodes, because I wasn't feeling the motivation. I recently posted on my Facebook page. Matter of fact, it was yesterday, Monday the 13th, that I posted on my Facebook page. I normally do a Monday morning live video on Facebook, and I didn't do one yesterday, that Monday, depending on when you listen to this. I didn't do one on that particular Monday yesterday. And the reason why was because I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't in my heart. And I'm going to tell you something. If I don't have it for myself, I can't possibly give it to you. I can't, and I'm not going to fake it. Some people say fake it till you make it. You know, if you just start rolling with it, and then it'll pick up and it'll come naturally. And no, I when it comes to this motivation thing, it's something, it comes from someplace special deep inside that my creator put inside of me. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes the cup gets empty, and sometimes you got to refill the cup, right? And the funny thing happened. Before I get into the topic of going back to the basics, funny thing happened to turn my mood around. Today, Tuesday, the 14th, I received a package in the mail from one of my Groove brothers, and he sent me a gift. Now, he didn't call me a week or so ago, a few days ago, and say, hey, man, I sent you something, look out in the mail for it. He didn't give me any heads up whatsoever. So when I go downstairs and my wife put the mail out, for me to get it, where she puts it for me, I'm like, what's this box? Now, I had a couple books on order, and I had some things on order, but nothing that would come in the size of this particular box. So I opened it up. It was a nice card and a nice gift, not just for me, but for both of my sons and my dad. Don't worry about what the gift was. Ain't none of your business. But it was a nice gift. And that really began to turn my mood around. It really began to turn my mood around. And then a couple hours later, I had a conversation with one of my former martial arts instructors. And in that conversation, he let me know that in a chat he did with his team earlier in the day, he used a quote that I had given him when we were working together, because I wasn't just his student. I was also the program manager of the school that we were working at. He ran the mat, I ran the office. So, he was still when I was on the mat, he was my instructor. And I still give him that respect to this day. And for him to tell me that he used and has been using since 1996, this quote that I gave him back then, that really, really turned the key to open the door to really lift my spirits up. All right. And that means something when the student can act. And I don't know, many of you may know something about martial arts. Some of you may know, none of you may know. But let me tell you this. The relationship between a martial arts instructor, a good martial arts instructor, and a good martial arts student, the relationship between the two is a very special thing. So if there comes a point in time where the student can actually teach the instructor something, or the student can do something that the instructor picks up and carries and puts in his toolbox or her toolbox, and they use that for decades, because this is 2020. I'm talking 1996, right? So he's been using this for over 20 years, this quote, and he shared it with his team today. And he shared that with me, that he shared it with his team today, right? Now, here's the crazy thing. Again, I'm gonna jump into the topic, but I want to lay the foundation, if you will. What you need will come right on time. It's like the old saying, God always comes right on time. He might not come when you want him. He might not come when you call him, but he always comes right on time. All right. Whatever it is that you need in your life will come right on time. I've often said that whatever is meant to happen to you will happen to you when it's supposed to happen to you. Not a single day sooner, not a single day later. But what I want to talk to you about now is how you go about making that day come sooner than later. See, because sometimes, or if not all the time, the things that we want to have in life, we have to go after. It's not going to come to us, right? People who are waiting for opportunity to knock will often find themselves waiting for opportunity to knock. Me personally, I've always said I would rather, search out opportunity, find out where it's hiding, and kick in the door like Dog the Bounty Hunter or something to get that opportunity. You have to go after opportunity, right? So in incorporating all of these thoughts and refilling my cup of positive energy so I can pass it on to you, right? I thought about going back to the basics, going back to those resources and materials in my life that put me on the path to where I am now. The books that I read, the people that I talked to, the people that I listened to, the people that I learned from, some of the relationships that I've had that might have fallen off over the years because we move away to different states or cities or what have you, right? I'm inspired to go back and read some of the books on my bookshelf. I'm inspired to go back and read the 4 books that I've written. I'm inspired to dig up my old cassette recorder and dig up some of my old Zig Ziglar and Les Brown cassette tapes and listen to them. See, my point is all of those things that made your life great still exist. If those people are still alive, God willing, they're not going to be hard to find because if they're smart, they're home, sheltering in place like everybody in the country is supposed to be doing. So what's stopping you from picking up the phone and calling up a good friend you haven't spoken to in a year, a month, 5 years, 10 years, what have you? Call that person up and have a good conversation. See if that doesn't lift your spirits up. If you have books that you used to read and you still have those books, go to your bookshelf and reread those books. We're home. We have the time. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. I have several books by Robert Kiyosaki. Let me tell you something. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was the book that really changed the trajectory of my life. Now, over the course of the years after having read that book and listened to Robert Kiyosaki and read some of his other works, I come to find that when it comes to issues involving politics that he begins to talk about somewhat, I don't find myself agreeing with him on those. But the principles he taught in those early books of his that I read, those are undeniable. I can't deny that Rich Dad Poor Dad changed the trajectory of my life. I can't deny that when I read that the way people think about money determines their outcomes in life, and that rich people think about money a certain way, middle class people think about money a certain way, poor people think about money a certain way. I can't deny that I have exercised at least two, I won't say which ones, but I've exercised at least two of those modes of thinking and have learned how to change my mode of thinking for the better. All right. What other books I have up here on my bookshelf? 48 Laws of Power, Life and Death by Russell Simmons, Do You by Russell Simmons, Reposition Yourself by T.D. Jakes, Action Has No Season by Michael V. Roberts. I was watching a podcast by one of my distant mentors, Dr. George C. Fraser, and he was interviewing Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. He has a great book that changed a lot of my thinking about money called The Wealth Choice. Now notice, I'm dropping some titles on you. So if you want to pause this and write these titles down and get these books, if you've never heard of them or had them, trust me, they will change the trajectory of your life. Right? But for me, these books are taking me back to the basics. And the funny thing was, after I listened to, or rather watched that interview, I went on LinkedIn and I realized I'm connected to Dr. Kimbrough on LinkedIn. So what? I sent him a message. I sent him a message saying, I just finished watching your interview with Dr. Fraser, and dude, you are my hero. I want to thank you for the fire, because you just reignited a fire that was getting dim inside of me. And you want to know something? About an hour later, he responded and we had a brief little chat message conversation. Oh my goodness, talking to one of my heroes. It's a beautiful thing. Now I'm hyped up. Now I'm ready to go back into the basics. Read some more of my books. What is this book here? I know this is a See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. The Science of Success by James Arthur Ray. Display of Power by Damon John. The Richest Man in Babylon by George C. Clason. Message to the Black Man in America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I have a whole library of books. I have no reason to feel lazy. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Listen, I'm dropping gems on you right now. What is this other? Speak and Grow Rich by Walters and Walters. Oh my goodness. I got jewels. I got gems. Think Your Way to Wealth by Napoleon Hill. My goodness. My goodness. Passion by my groove brother, Clifton Harcum. I got gems. And I'm sure you have them too. And if you don't, guess what? You are home. You have access to your computer. You have access to your phone. You can go on Amazon and you can pick up each and every one of these books. You don't even have to wait for the delivery to come. You can get them on your phone. You can get them on your tablet. And just start reading and start learning, start improving your life. 1 Minute Millionaire by Mark Victor Hansen and Robert G. Allen. The Money Coach's Guide to Your First Million by Lynette Calfani Fox. Let me tell you something about that book. That book right there, when I first read that book a few years ago, I learned how to refinance my car payments reading that book. My credit score shot up a couple points after reading that book and taking the lessons that she taught in that book. What else I got on my bookshelf I could drop? Maximum Achievement by Brian Tracy. Oh my goodness. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Where Have All the Leaders Gone by the late Lee Iacocca. The Art of Talking to Anyone by Rosalie Maggio. Oh my goodness. The Little Black Book of Connections by Jeffrey Gitomer. Let me tell you something. If you can just find the people and the resources that made your life great a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, reconnect with those people, reconnect with those resources, reconnect with those materials. Hey, for some of you, you might just have to go back and read your Bible. That might be the key for you. You might have to go back and read your Quran. That might be the key for you. But I'm telling you, if you've exhibited or have experienced any kind of greatness or success or period in your life where everything seemed to be on point, I want you to think back to those times and think about what was going on in your life. Think about what you were doing. I'm looking here at my bookshelf. I have Tony Robbins, the Edge, Get the Edge, Personal Power cassette tapes, Personal Power 2. Oh my goodness. I have Seeds of Greatness on my bookshelf. I should be a millionaire in 2 weeks. No, I'm just joking. Right? But my point is, if you go back to the basics of when times were great and times were good in your life, you might find yourself in a position where if you're in the valley right now, because you guys always know, I say life is about peaks and valleys. And right now, the whole world is in the valley. America is deep in the valley. I'm in New Jersey. New Jersey is one step above New York in the valley. Literally. Okay. But if you go back and find those people, find those resources that made your life great then or greater then than it may be now, maybe you can recapture some of that magic, some of that knowledge, some of those skills that can propel you forward to an even greater place than you were way back when, because when you're reading this stuff, it'll all seem familiar. And you might find yourself learning something new, picking up something new. How can I forget this book? It's sitting right across from me. Think and Grow Rich. I've had the same copy since 1997, 98, and it looks like it too. And I've read that book so many times. Guess what? I might pick that sucker up and start. That might be the first book I pick up and start reading. I got books on deck. Oh my goodness. Listen, find those resources that got you to where you are. Got you to where you were when everything was great. And it'll work itself out. Trust me. We ain't got nothing but time right now. Kids are home. We home, unless you're an essential worker. And even if you're an essential worker, if you can find the time, I know it's hard out there, but if you find a minute to slide away for your lunch break or what have you, you could pop something informational in the car. Pop a CD in the car. If your car is old enough, pop a cassette in the car. I'm telling you, before the night is over, I'm going to dig up my old cassette player and I already know where my Les Brown and my Zig Ziglar cassettes are. I got some CDs here that I could just plug into. Oh man. Resources. If you had them once, you can get them again. Friends, listen, if you guys just faded apart, that's okay. Pick up the phone and get reconnected. Let some of that see if that good energy is still there. You know what? Maybe they might be down and your energy just reaching out to them to see how they're doing, that might lift them up. And then together, the two of you reminisce on the good old days, the good times in high school or in your college days or your days after college or whatever. And you find yourselves picking yourselves up, picking one another up, spreading that positive energy around. Don't just call one person, call a couple people. Say, listen, I'm not going to keep you. I just want to check on you, see how you're doing and see where it takes you. Trust me, it'll work. It'll work. I've already started. I've outlined a whole bunch of books that I'm likely going to pick up and start reading again. And I got CDs and I got cassettes. I got all kinds of information. And again, if you don't have these things, that's fine. Maybe you don't have these resources to reconnect to, but I've shared them with you. And these are my basics. So if you can't go back to the basics, if you can't go back to your basics, hell, go back to my basics. And trust me when I tell you, there's not one book or CD person who put out a CD or a cassette tape that I've named. If you read one of their works, I guarantee you it'll change the trajectory of your life. Did I mention I wrote 4 books? And I assure you, my books will change the trajectory of your life. Now, time for a shameless plug, because I'm proud of my 4 books. All right. Find a way to make a way. You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. Success is a journey from the womb to the tomb. Get your mind right. 10 lessons to lead you to success. And find a way to make a way, the difference of a decade. All right. Listen, you can get those books on my website, coachhrjr.com. Just click on the shop link and you can do everything through Cash App or Venmo or Zelle or even PayPal, I think. So all the options are there, right? All the options are there for you. Success is out there. And listen, if you're waiting for success to find you, if you're waiting for opportunity to come knocking, the reason why success isn't finding you is because success isn't looking for you. Opportunity don't care where you live. Opportunity and success are too busy dealing with the people who are looking for them. They're too busy dealing with the people who are looking for them. I remember a quote by Sean Combs, otherwise known as Diddy. I just have the taste of it on the tip of my mind, where he says, if you're still chasing your dreams, you're not running fast enough. I'm paraphrasing. If you're still chasing your dreams, you're not running fast enough. You got to find them dreams and you got to grab them by the neck and you got to squeeze them. You got to squeeze your dreams for all they're worth to make them real. That's what I'm going to leave you with. Go back to the basics. Find those friends, find those resources, find those materials that made your life great once upon a time. Just the energy of, you know what? Go find an old photo album, for those of you who know what photo albums are, and look back on your life. Look back on those good times and then reminisce about what was going on in your life during those times. I have journals that I could just go back in time in my own life and see where I was, good, bad, or indifferent. What did I learn back then and how could I turn those into lessons now? If you've ever kept a diary or a journal, do that. Go back in time. That's the beauty of keeping a diary or a journal. You can go back and you can look at where you were then, at who you were then. You can gauge who you are now compared to who you were then. What have you learned during the course of those years in between? How have you become a different person? And then start writing new entries about that, about the changes you've discovered in yourself. What can you do to make yourself even better based on the lessons you just realized you learned in between back then and now? Oh my goodness, going back to the basics is what's going to take you to the next level. It's going to help take you to the next level. And since we have this time at home, might as well make the best of it. There have been people on the internet that have said, you know, if you come out of this and you don't have a new skill or you don't have a new hustle or something like that, then you just wasted all of this time. Now, it might sound a little crass. It might sound a little bold, but you know what? Damn it, I agree with it. I agree with it. You need to come out of this better than you were before. Listen, I'm not a teacher in terms of like, you know, school teacher, but I'm going to do my best to stay on top of my son and his schoolwork to make sure he's current. And sometimes he's not going to like it, but you know what? I don't have to be his friend. I have to be his father. And my wife has to deal with my older son. You know, that's how we separated the work. I deal with the little one. She deals with the big one. We get the information from the school and we pass it on and deal with it, you know, with teaching it with the kids and whatnot. So listen, we going through some things right now, but I want you to understand that we are going through some things. This is not where we are. This is where we are for now. We are passing through this trying time, these trying times. These trying times are not here to stay. These trying times are here. You know what? That's why they call them trying times, because they're here to try us. They're here to try you. Try me. Right? They're here to try you. And then when somebody wanted to bully you in school, what they say? They wanted to try and see what you got. Now, how you going to come out of this? You know, God willing, you're doing the sanitizing, the hand washing, and walking around with the mask on your face and the social distancing and all of that. When this is all over and God willing, you are vertical, how much better are you going to be? See, you can't wait until this is over to figure out how much better you're going to be. You got to start working on it now. You got to start working on it now. Start working on it now. When you work on it now, man, baby, start working on it now and see the growth. You know what? If this takes another week, if this takes another month, if this takes another 2-3 months, listen, I have events that I have been planning to go to this month, next month, June, July. All of them have been canceled. Now, my birthday, my 50th birthday is in October. This better come to a head and be resolved before then, because I might not have no more motivation if I got to spend my 50th birthday locked in my daggone house eating takeout. But you know what? I'm not even thinking about that too tough, because I'm building myself up now. And I assure you, if you just go back to the basics, go back to my basics if they'll help you, but go back to the basics and rebuild yourself. Take this time that, you know what, God just told the whole world, sit your ass down. Now, I might sound blasphemous, please, no offense, but the whole world just got put on timeout. The whole world just got told, go sit your ass down somewhere and think about what you've been doing with your life. Think about it. And then sit your ass down somewhere and think about what you've been doing with your life. And what are you going to do to change it? What are you going to do to correct it? What are you going to do to improve it? Let me tell you something. I'm about to sound like Oprah Winfrey when she played Miss Sophia in The Color Purple. Yeah, I was feeling mighty low. A couple days ago, I was feeling mighty low. But I had some good people reach out to me. I got an unexpected gift. I got an unexpected compliment, and I just used that to build myself back up. And then I got it in my head. You know what? If I could have my brother who lives in another state just reach out to me out of the blue. If I could have my old instructor just reach out to me and give me a compliment, because that's a compliment to me, right? What else can I do if I go back to the basics? What if I reflect on, and now I'm reflecting on those times with my instructor when we were working together. I'm reflecting on those times when I was kicking it with my brother back in the day. And I just saw him a few weeks ago before this stuff started jumping off crazy, right? So my goodness, I'm in another zone right now. hrjr is back. And like I said in the beginning, on my G's, I promise you, I'm not going to let a whole bunch of time pass before you get another episode of the Ice Talks. I'm feeling the energy. I'm going to feed myself off of this energy, and I'm going to use it to create and build more energy. Well, they say energy is neither created or destroyed. It is merely transferred from one point to another. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my basics, and I'm going to gather that energy. I'm going to transfer that energy from my basics, and then I'm going to feed myself with it, fill myself with it, and then I'm going to transfer that energy onto you. I wish you could feel as good as I feel right now. Go back to your basics, and I promise you that you will. This has been another episode of the Ice Talks, where we implement change every day.